The night the sky turned red. It was an otherwise quiet Friday evening in Tel Aviv on June 13, 2025. Reema, a dedicated 36-year-old nurse, had just clocked out of her long shift at the hospital. The bustling streets of the Israeli metropolis buzzed with life as people went about their evening routines, unaware that their lives were about to change in the blink of an eye. Back home, Reema's husband, Daniel, a schoolteacher, helped their 10-year-old son Eli finish a drawing. The family joked around, creating memories that would soon become precious in their memory. Outside, the calm summer night was shattered by a sudden deafening boom. It echoed again and again in the hearts of those who heard it. What had happened? News channels were abuzz with live updates. What exactly had Israel done? How would Iran respond? Earlier that day, the world had watched in disbelief as Israel made headlines for launching a massive military operation, one for the history books, codenamed Operation Rising Lion. Over 200 of Israel's most advanced fighter jets had soared into Iranian airspace. With precision, these jets had struck more than 100 key targets across Iran. Missile facilities, underground bunkers, nuclear research centers, and even IRGC command posts were not spared. Eyewitnesses recounted scenes straight out of an action movie, including a spectacular explosion at Iran's Parchin nuclear site. Israeli officials spoke of an imminent threat. According to them, Iran's nuclear weapons program had reached a dangerous tipping point, and Tehran was actively pursuing a nuclear bomb. The window for diplomacy had closed, and only force could stop Iran from achieving its goals. As the dust settled over the shocked international community, Israeli officials came forward with chilling details. Prominent Iranian scientists and military leaders lay dead. Entire missile battalions and nuclear research centers were crippled. Meanwhile, in Tehran, the heart of Iran, the news hit hard. State television cut regular programming to broadcast breaking news. People poured into the streets, glued to their phones, eyes wide with disbelief as they scrolled through images of the strikes. Many fell to their knees in prayer or wept openly, grappling with the realization that war had arrived. Mehrdad, a 38-year-old engineer, stood frozen in his apartment, holding his 4-year-old daughter close. His wife, Lala, wept beside him, clutching their 6-month-old baby boy. Their TV blared the grim reality of the situation. One of their best friends, Dr. Amini, a brilliant nuclear scientist, was dead, killed in the Israeli strike on Tehran. The news reverberated through Iran like a shockwave. It was personal now. Across the country, Iranians gathered in the streets, united in grief and anger. They cursed Israel and pledged allegiance to their supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. That night, Iran's supreme leader addressed his nation on national television, vowing revenge. His words boomed across living rooms and echoed in the hearts of every Iranian. Israel has brought fire to our doorstep. Now we will bring ruin to theirs. For ordinary citizens like Mehrdad, his wife, Leila, and their 2 children, there was no escape from the nightmare unfolding before them. His daughter asked innocently, "Will they come here, Daddy?" Looking into her innocent eyes, Mehrdad realized there was no easy answer. All he could do was hold her tighter and hope for a miracle. But deep down, he knew the coming days would be filled with uncertainty and danger. As the sun set over a terrified Iran, one thing became clear. This was just the beginning. The next few hours were a blur for the people of Tel Aviv. Iran responded in a manner that shook the region to its core. It was swift, deadly, and left no room for doubt. It was a message sent loud and clear by Iran to the world. In the heart of Tehran, sirens wailed. Major cities like Isfahan, Kermanshah, and Tabriz went into lockdown as people rushed to bomb shelters. But it was too late. In Tel Aviv, the city of lights, the skyline blazed with a sinister red hue as incoming missiles streaked toward the city. It was terrifying and surreal. Eyewitnesses described a scene straight out of a disaster movie. The sight of so many missiles heading straight for their city was enough to send chills down anyone's spine. Reema, still at her parents' house, raced back to her family, her mind filled with dread. When she saw the incoming missiles, she instinctively dropped to the ground, shielding her young son Eli with her body. Fearful thoughts raced through her mind. Would this be the end? In total, over 150 ballistic missiles were fired directly at Israel, along with at least 100 Iranian kamikaze drones loaded with explosives. But Iran wasn't done. More missiles followed, targeting various locations across Israel. The Iranian Revolutionary Guards, known as the IRGC, claimed responsibility for the attack, which they dubbed Operation Vow of Truth 3. Their statement was chillingly simple. These attacks are in response to the Zionist entity's aggression against Iran and will continue unless the Zionist entity stops its criminal acts. For the people of Tel Aviv, it was a frightening display of power. They had never seen anything like it before. And then there were the drones. The sight of Iranian kamikaze drones zooming toward their target was both shocking and terrifying. The first batch of 74 Shahed drones targeted sites across Israel, causing significant damage. Iran seemed determined to show it meant business. It wasn't just about the missiles or the drones. It was a full-scale assault. Iran employed all available means to inflict maximum damage. Among the major cities hit were Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Many missiles fell over the Mediterranean Sea, causing massive explosions, but others found their marks. Scenes of burning buildings and shattered streets soon dominated the news. In Tel Aviv, where Reema and her family huddled in their bomb shelter, the aftermath was devastating. Homes were destroyed, cars burnt, fires raged across the city. Even iconic landmarks bore the scars of the attack. Over the course of the day, Israel's Iron Dome defense system intercepted hundreds of missiles, but not all. At least 15 missiles managed to breach the dome and slam into their targets. 2 people lost their lives, both civilians. Over 40 more were injured, some critically. As the sirens subsided and the smoke cleared, the true extent of the damage became evident. Among the areas hit was the southern Israeli town of Ofakim, where a school was directly struck by an Iranian missile. The impact was devastating. Windows shattered, walls crumbled, and countless books lay strewn across the floor. It was a scene that tugged at the heartstrings of Israelis across the country. Images of the damaged school sent shockwaves, and as they stared at their screens, questions arose in their minds. Was this the new reality they had to face? Back in Iran, a sense of pride mixed with unease rippled through the crowds gathered in the streets. They celebrated the strikes on Israeli soil, chanting death to Israel and revenge. But beneath the bravado, many like Mehrdad were silently praying for the ordeal to end. They didn't want war. That night, Reema's son Eli asked a heartbreaking question. "Is it a war, Mama?" He was too young to understand the complexities of international conflicts, but his innocence cut deep. Reema hugged him tight, trying to project an image of calm. "It's okay, sweetheart. We're safe here," she said, though her voice trembled slightly. But deep down, she shared the same fears and uncertainties as the rest of the world. She hoped with all her might that it was just a one-night stand. As dawn broke over a battered Tel Aviv, the true toll of the attack became clear. Israel had been taken by surprise. Its main cities were reeling, and its citizens traumatized. But Israel was determined to respond. Officials vowed that the mission was far from over. They stated unequivocally that the Iranian threat would be neutralized. The scale of Iran's attack had shocked Israel, leaving many questions unanswered. Had it really happened? Could Iran actually strike Israel on its own soil? What was the true extent of Iran's capabilities, and what would Israel's response be? By June 14, 2025, the world was on edge. Global leaders scrambled for emergency talks as Iran and Israel prepared for a potential wider war. The implications were dire. World powers from the United States to China urged restraint. Leaders of European nations expressed grave concern, and the United Nations called for urgent action to prevent further escalation. In the midst of this turmoil, one thing was certain: The night the sky turned red had changed everything. Both countries were bracing for impact, wondering how much worse things could get. As the world grappled with the consequences of the night before, a stark reality emerged. The attacks by Iran on Israel were not merely military operations. They were a desperate bid for attention on the world stage. Through the smoke and destruction, Iran had managed to send a chilling message to the international community. They wouldn't be ignored. In the days that followed, the world watched intently as both sides prepared for the next move. The shadow of war loomed large, but amidst the tension and uncertainty, something else became apparent. The people caught in the crossfire weren't just statistics or pawns in a larger game. They were ordinary men, women and children trying to make sense of the violence that had disrupted their lives. As the sun set over yet another day, the world wondered if the sky would turn red again. Would it be a night of terror once more? Only time would tell. That is all for the day, and please subscribe for more updates.